What's up, guys? It's Missy. I'm back with another SimCity Build It video, and this is part 2 to the video about production mistakes. So today we're going to talk about why people are broke, or what mistakes they're making with how they're earning their money and how they're spending their money. So the main reason for being broke is either you're not making the right items, or you're spending too much and not making the right items. Okay, so first things first, if you have not already, please hit that like and subscribe button and comment below if you have any questions. I will leave a Discord link in the description below for you guys to contact me on there and there will be screenshots of the production plan that we put out on the Discord. Now, if most of you have been playing the game a while, so you guys are pretty familiar with what items are on the global market quite a bit and what ones are not. Now, a lot of you know that there's just certain things you'd never see them, and a lot of people don't understand why that is. But most of the time when you don't see something, it's probably because very many people aren't making it. And the reason they're not making it usually is because it turns a low profit. Now, that's not always the case, because over the last couple of weeks, I've been analyzing what items are on the global market and what items are not, at least not very often. And after doing this production plan, I broke down each and every shop, and I'm looking at these items that turn the highest profit. And I'm not seeing those items being made very much. I'm seeing items that don't turn a high profit being made. And I'm thinking, why is that, And I've come to several conclusions, which goes hand in hand as to why a lot of people are broke. It doesn't surprise me a lot of people are broke when they're making the wrong items. Okay? So most of you who've been playing the game, you know that burgers are something that are on the global market constantly. They flood the market, right? Okay. Now, in order to make a burger, and I'm going to pull this up on my screen. Okay. Making the burger is probably I want to say it's the worst item in the game to make. And I'm going to show you why. Now, that being said, after realizing it is the worst item in the game to make, or at least I think so, I'm not saying it's the least profitable. I'm saying it might be. I mean, I haven't really looked into that. I don't think it's the least profitable, though. But it is the worst one to make. So, okay. What I mean by that is, you all know that if you were to make a burger, first things first, you would need to make a spatula. So when you make this spatula, you are now no longer able to make the hammers for your chairs. So keep that in mind. So we're going to write furniture shop on our paper, because it's now cut into our production of chairs, because we're unable to make hammers. So that means it's also affected our hardware shop, because now we're not making hammers or chairs. Okay, so there's two shops it's already fucked with. Now, in order to make a burger, you have to have flour for the bread rolls and the cream. So it's fucked with your barn now, because yes, you are making flour on a normal production, but you are not making cream. So that being said, it's now cut into that. So now you have to make cream, flour, okay? Which means you need feed. In order to make the spatula, you need metal, wood, plastic, all easy items to get, even if you purchase them. Okay, so far we've got our spatula made, we've got the barn, it's making our cream, so we're gonna write down cream, flour. Now we go into our donut shop, okay, and we have to make the bread roll, which is less profitable than donuts. Because the reason it's less profitable than donuts is because of the cream. Now, this is what I meant when I said if you were to buy certain items, other items would be more profitable. Certain items do that. So, in this case, now we've taken our cream and our flour and made it into a bread roll. Okay? So it's messed with our furniture, hardware, barn, donut shop. Now we have this stupid bread roll. That's one ingredient to the burger that we need. So now we've got one ingredient. Now we need the beef. So we have to go back to our barn. And we have to spend 2 hours making beef. And then we have to go take our spatula and some additional metal and make a barbecue. So the barbecue takes quite some time as well. It's a very low profitable item. And it sits in the appliance shop. So now you've taken away from your TV production. So you're losing money there. Now you have your second ingredient for your burger, the barbecue. Okay. Now your beef that you made in the barn is your next item for the burger. So now you have your bread roll, your barbecue, your beef. Okay. So you've just taken profits from furniture store, hardware shop, barn, the donut shop, and the appliance shop. About the only one you even took away from your fashion shop. Because if you're making spatulas, you're not going to be able to make tape measures to make caps. So you've lost out on your fashion shop. And you also, well, depending on what level you are, if you're level 18 and you're making grass, that means you also lost out on the garden shop. But if you're not a level 18, you really wouldn't be affected by that too much. Because you would be making gnomes with your nighttime cement and glue, and you wouldn't really be doing shit during the day unless you bought shovels. So it's affected pretty much every store besides the garden store for the higher level players. So now, once you do this, and I'm going to pull up the page for the fast food store. All right, fast food shop. If you look at the per minute value, and this is if we were to purchase these materials, not make them. So if we wanted to make them, we would have to add in every single minute that went into this burger. But this is if we were to, this is after the materials have been made. So just from the materials needed, so the bread roll, the barbecue, the beef, and combining those into a burger, you make, it's on the next page. It's up here at the top. Ah, shit. Okay. You're making $129 per minute making burgers, which you're selling for $3,620. And if we were to sell the beef, sell the barbecue, sell the bread roll, we would get a total of $3,200 for them and 30 cents. Okay? So, what does this tell us? This tells us that if we take $3,620, which is what we can sell the burger for, and we subtract $3,230, which is what we could have sold the materials for, we have a total remainder of $390, and that's that last column there. So that's the amount that you profited or gained, I should say. That is what you got from combining those 3 materials. That's what you got. Okay? Now, it takes, what, 28 minutes? So, all right. Now, that being said, if we were to make these items, we would lose money. Now, if we were to purchase these items, this is what we would get. We would get $1.29 per minute, right? So let's apply that same logic and look at the guide now based off of purchasing the materials. So if you can purchase the materials for $120 and gain $129 or gain $390 from the burgers, the per minute value on this chart shows it shows the items if the materials if they were to be purchased. So essentially, what you'd be doing is you're taking these 3 items that went into making the burger, and you are looking at this chart and you're trying to see if you can use these items, these same items, to make anything else on this list that would be higher than 129 minutes or $129 per minute. And if you look closely, you will see that pizza sells for $133 a minute with purchased materials. And ice cream is at $228 a minute, 57 cents. Both of those, which are way higher than the burger. Well, the pizza's not super high, but you're also taking into consideration that the pizza does not require the barbecue or the bread roll. It only asks for 1 flour and 1 cheese and 1 beef. So you're not losing all that extra time if you were to make the stuff for the pizza. So in this case, now what we have to do is we have to say, okay, well, what if we didn't make all the stuff for the pizza? What if we only made part of the stuff? Because we already know we're making flour, right? And we already know that we have 2 extra flour a day that is just sitting there. So we already have the flour. Now, anytime we see beef and cheese on Global, we can take those extra flour that we have and we can make a pizza out of them. But if we weren't to do that and we were to say, okay, fuck it, we're going to take the beef that we found and we're going to wait till we find a barbecue and a bread roll, and then we're going to make a burger. Is that the beneficial thing to do? Or, check this out. Do you take that bread roll, which are pretty hard to find on Global, and take the bread roll, save it, and then see if you can find any cream at all. If you can find cream and combine the bread roll with the cream, you would make $228.57 a minute making ice cream, right? Which is way better than burgers. So if it were me, I would hold on to the bread roll until I found cream. And I'd hold on to the I would hold on to the flour that I had and the beef that I could have used for the barbecue or the burger and make pizza. So right here, I have bread roll, barbecue, beef for the burger. I keep my bread roll for ice cream if I find cream. Now I'm keeping my beef for pizza if I find cheese. Okay? So I already have the beef and the flour. If I was to make these items, right? Now, the barbecue is the only one that's pretty useless in this instance. So if I was to come across bread rolls, barbecues, beef on the global market, I would only buy the barbecues if I needed them for the end game. Like, let's say I need them for like a repair or an epic project. That's when I would buy them. Otherwise, I would always buy bread rolls and I would always buy beef. And you should be buying that anytime you see those 2 items on the global market. And in this production guide, there is a list of items that I gave you guys, and it's, I think it's this page. very bottom of this page, it says, this is a list of items you should always purchase on the global market. Next to the item is the item you should make with that purchased item. Okay, so I go in to say that anytime you find cream in rolls, you should make them into ice cream, not burgers. Okay, beef and cheese. Anytime you see that shit, you're gonna, even the flour. If you find flour, buy it. Okay, and make pizza. Melons, we already discussed that on how you're going to do pink drinks. Now, here's another interesting thing that a lot of people get kind of confused with. The melons, for example. If you look at the fast food store, and we go back to the fast food shop, okay, you will notice that pink drinks take the longest on this chart at 48 minutes, okay? They also sell for very low, not the least, but they sell for a very low amount. Now, if you look very closely, it says the PMV, which is per minute value, of pink drinks is $35.21 a minute. Okay? Which would be the lowest on this chart. So why is it that when you look at the production plan that we wrote up, that we're telling you to make melons at night to make pink drinks at night if it's the lowest profitable item on the chart? Why are we doing that? Well, because you have to really break it down and analyze this, okay? If we were to buy the materials, things would be a little bit different. We're talking about producing the materials in this instance. So, well, even if you were to buy the melons, you would still do pink drinks. So here's the thing. Melons can be used for 3 items in the game: cheesecake, smoothies, pink drinks. Those are what you can produce with it, okay? Now, we know that smoothies is going to cut into our donut production. So, we already have donuts. They're already making. Let's not mess with them, okay? The cake, again, is going to fuck with our donut production. And it's going to give us a pretty low value, actually, because of the cheese that's needed. So, cake's out, smoothies out. Now, we do know that our fast food shop is the one shop that's very difficult to keep running because of the amount of time that the items take. They're all pretty quick. The other issue with this shop is that every single item on this list requires something from the barn, which means in order to make pink drinks, we have to make melons, okay? Which we're doing already as a higher level player at night. Now, what we had this little dilemma here. So, if you were to make any other item on this list, you would lose money. You would lose money from your flour and you'd lose money from your donuts. However, here's the predicament here. For a level 18 player, it is more profitable for you to make flour all night long. For a higher level player, it is less profitable to make flour at night. Now, why is that? Well, here's the thing. For a level 18 player, you make flour every 30 minutes. So, for the 11 flour, because here's the thing. If you look at a nighttime run for 8 hours, most people, the biggest mistake that they make is they make the items that sell for the most money. They get tricked by that. Okay, so because that's what I was trying to scratch my head about. I'm like, why is it people are making burgers if they turn such a low profit and they fuck with everything and they're such a pain in the ass? Why do I see so many damn burgers? You know what I'm saying? And I realized it. It's the highest priced item in the game. And because of that, it tricks people into thinking that since it's priced for the highest, that it turns the highest profit. And that's not true. Just because it's $3,620 to buy a fucking burger doesn't mean it turns the highest profit. It just means you're selling it for the most coins. And that really fucks with people's perspective. It's kind of like when you go to a store and you see a item and it's priced for $1.50 and you ignore it because you're like, I don't want to buy that. But then you see a for sale sticker that says 2 for $3. And all of a sudden people start buying the shit, even though there's no difference in the price. It's just making it look like you're getting a deal. So automatically you're buying it. And stores do that shit all the time. If you look at Target, for example, you go in there and you move the price sticker. It'll say the same price underneath the sale sticker, but it's just put as sale. And it tricks people into thinking they're getting a good deal. And it's the same psychological standpoint here with the game. People think that since it sells for the most, it turns the highest profit. And that is one of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to making money with this game. The next mistake is they make items that sell the fastest. So people always do that. They always make items that don't sit in their depot very long because they want them gone. But the cool thing about the game is you have 32 depot slots. And if you stick them all to the right, you can advertise them, sure. But if you don't want your depot advertised to global for that long, you can just wait for Daniel to buy them. Now, yeah, it might take a couple days, but if you're making the right items, then you're not going to be in dire need of money, right? So you're not going to be needing those items sold super quick because you'll have money. Now, the next one, people make items that they have the materials for. That's what they do. They open up their game, they open up their shop, and they go, all right. They go through each and every item and they just make what they have the materials for. They don't care what they are. They don't put any time, thought, or energy into it. They just say, okay, I've got enough materials to make planks. I'm going to do planks. If I got materials to make fire pits, I'm going to do fire pits. And that is the worst thing you can do. You need to pay more attention and get materials that are making items that are higher profit. The other biggest mistake that people make is they don't run their shops full time. So they'll let them sit there and run out and just sit. Now, the other issue is that people try to keep their shops running full time by making the wrong items. And what I mean by that is, especially a low-level player, this is a perfect example. And we're gonna go back to that flower thing we were just talking about. So for a level 18 player, a lot of you, if you're following my building guide, have the 11 slots available. Okay? So you have an option here. If you make a bag of flour every 30 minutes, okay, and you're going to sleep for 8 hours, 8 hours times 60 minutes is 480 minutes. That's the total amount of time you're going to be off your game, is 480 minutes. Now, if you take 30 minutes for a bag of flour and you divide it by, or you take 480 minutes and you divide it by the 30 minutes for the bag of flour, you get a total of 16 flour. But you can't put up 16 flour. So you say, fuck it. I don't want to do that because my shop, if I was to do that, 16 times 30, that's 480 minutes, right? Okay. That means you would end up with 11 flour. And if you did 11 flour times 30 minutes, you would get 330 minutes total runtime. So if you take that into hours, you do 330 total minutes and divide it by 60 minutes is 5.5 hours. So now you're like, well, I got 8 hours of time that I'm going to be asleep. Okay? And you look at it and you go, well, that means that my shop's not going to be running all night long. It's going to finish early. It's going to finish 2.5 hours early. So for 2.5 hours throughout the night, that shop's going to be making nothing. So people make this big, big mistake. And they go, well, you know what? I'm going to bed anyway. So I'm going to put up the longest items, the items that take the longest, so that when I wake up in the morning, my shop will not be just sitting there not running, and I'll have money. But here's the issue. Now, if you need to do the math and see if it's more profitable to make this item, make 11 of one item, and have your shop run out early, to make more money? Or are you making less and you're making less money by putting up the higher minute items? So you need to do the math and make sure that that's not happening to you. And it does. It happens to people at low level. So if you're a level 18 player and you have melons, flour, veggies unlocked, these are your options. Okay. So you say, well, you know what? My flour is it's gonna run out, so I'm not gonna do that. Same with veggies. So you make melons at night. So you go and you make 11 melons. Okay. And now your shop's running too long. So you're cutting into your production time for tomorrow. So now you're like, no, I don't want to do that. I only want to run enough melons for 8 hours, which at 72 minutes, you're going to take the 480 minutes for your nighttime run, divide it by 72 minutes for the melon, and you're going to get 6.6. So basically, you're making 6 melons, okay, in 8 hours. Now, you can sell those melons for $730 a piece. So you're going to do 6 times 730. That's 4,000. Hang on. $380. Okay? So you wake up in the morning, you have your 6 melons to collect, and you're able to cash out $4,380. But I decided that I was going to do something different than you. And I decided that I was going to make the flour. So I made 11 flour in 5.5 hours. So when I woke up in the morning, I was able to collect 11 flour versus your 6 melons, which means I would times 11 by $570 a bag, which gives me $6,270 versus your $4,380. So my shop's running for 2.5 hours less time and making $1,890 more than what you made in 8 hours. So I made $6,270 in 5.5 hours, and you made $4,380 in 8 hours. So why are you doing that? You're better off making flour all night than you are making melons, right? So now it changes though as you go higher up in the levels. So a higher level player can take those melons and make a pink drink, whereas a lower level player can't. So you actually lose money by making flour at night for a lower level player, or for a higher level player. So a higher level player is going to want to make those melons at night because they can use those elsewhere for more money later. But a lower level player cannot. Now, these things happen constantly, these types of situations. So I look at these things and I go, okay, if people are making items that sell for the most money, or they just assume it turns the highest profit, and that's not true. Or they're making items that sell the fastest, or they're making items they have the materials for, or they're doing it to not have their shops run out of time, or they're selling their items for a base price, not at max price. These are all huge mistakes you guys are making. And if you take these mistakes and you change them, you will see a huge increase in your coins. Because now you're not just making items that sell for the most. Now you're making the most profitable items. So you have to cross-check every single shop, everywhere, and make sure that there isn't another item that you could be making. And then you have to cross-check it with the shops that you're doing. So that's what we did with our guide. Okay? Now, if you go to the TV shop, the appliance store, 12 TVs, okay? Let's go over here. 12 TVs sells for $15,360, all right? Now, if we were making barbecues for burgers, those I believe are $530 times Okay, so here's the issue. Barbecues, you would be making barbecues, you'd be making, in your barn, you'd be making beef, flour, cream, all for a burger. Okay? 24 minutes on the flour, 120 minutes on the beef, 60 minutes on the cream. So that's a total of 120 plus 24 plus 60, 204 minutes just in your barn. Now, in that 204 minutes, if you were to take 204 and divide it by 24 for a bag of flour, you could have made 8.5 flour in that time. 8.5 times 570, $4,845. Now, that's already higher than what you can sell a burger for. So why are you doing that? You know what I mean? Like, doesn't make sense. Because that's just for the beef flour cream. We didn't even add in the time that you're using to make spatulas, barbecues, the burger itself, and you've already made substantially more, over $1,000 more, by just making 8.5 flour instead of doing that. So if you run your barn for 204 minutes making beef flour cream, you get shit. Okay? If you run it making flour, you make way more money. So why the fucking hell the global market is full of burgers, I will never know. Now, yes, there is a thing called burger farming where you can sell the burgers to the sim bubbles that pop up as a 30% markup. But in that case, you would be buying the burgers and selling them, not making them, because you'd be better off making high profitable items, buying burgers from Global, and then farming them and selling them to the sim bubbles. That would make sense. But making them makes no sense to me. So the same thing is with the fire pits and the yogurt. People do that all the time too. They always make those, and I don't understand why. Popcorn is pretty useless as well. Backpacks and microwaves are terrible. So you guys, if you're making any of these mistakes, those are the common mistakes, are what I have listed in this video. And if you follow the production guide that we provided, you will not be making these mistakes anymore, and you will have more money. A lot more. Now, you do need to cut your spending and make sure that you're not spending too much money. If you have house upgrades, let's say that you're done camping and you're going up in levels. If you have a house upgrade and it's asking you for items that are really expensive, refresh the house upgrade. There's no sense. I get them all the time. I get them for they want 10 fucking bread rolls and shit. I'm like, no, dude. And I refresh it and I'll get one for 10 tape. Well, I'd rather do 10 tape measures than 10 bread rolls any day. So always refresh your upgrades. Don't do airport deliveries unless you are doing them for the contest of mayors or for the fact that maybe you like the airport homes and that's why you're doing it. But don't do airport deliveries just for the shits and giggles, okay? Because it's a ripoff. War deliveries, same concept. War is not beneficial as far as rewards go. It's more for the entertainment aspect of it. So, especially for you higher level players, those war deliveries will run you bankrupt. Okay? If you're giving up $8,000 to $20,000 in items to get a $1,000 war item in which you're launching for points, and then you're taking those points and you're getting a measly couple war cards and a couple tokens in return, it's not beneficial. So if you have to make items for epic projects, that's different, okay? But don't make backpacks to sell them or microwaves to sell them. You're only going to make those to keep them. And what you buy on the global market as far as materials to make other items is going to have a huge impact on your money making. So if you haven't already, I recommend you guys get a copy of this production guide. It's going to tell you guys what to buy, what not to buy, what to sell, what not to sell, what to make, all that good shit. So there's no reason why any of these should be broke. All right.